Attention, if you or someone you love has been exposed to boomer bait, you may be entitled to compensation. Boomer bait, also known as nostalgia bait, is any piece of media that caters to the tastes of people who were born between the years of 1981 and 1996. The makers of this type of content are specifically targeting people of age, and the emotional harm they create by reminding us of how old we are is irreparable. Being over the age of 30 is nothing anyone needs to be reminded of. Call this toll-free number now to talk to one of our experts today about the lasting damage boomer bait has caused you. There are no precedents for suing entertainment companies for emotional damage due to the nature of the content that they produce. Fees of $700 per hour will be charged regardless of the outcome of your court case. Individual results may vary. This is definitely a scam and may or may not be a money laundering operation. Call toll-free 1-888-555-BOOM. That's 1-888-555.
I'll start this video with a little background of my experiences with video games. One of the first games I ever played was Doom. I was about 7 years old in late 1996, playing on my babysitter's Macintosh Performa in our lower middle class neighborhood. Even being that young, I can still remember some of the emotions I felt while running through the dimly lit hallways, gunning down demons in all its gory glory, helping me cope with the shitty day I likely had in second grade. From that day forth, in my heart, I was a committed PC FPS player, even though used consoles became my mains for many years. Only within the last 10 years have I had the income and means to put together my own gaming PCs, and have since been revisiting the classics that I played and missed since that first epiphany. Recently, there's been a gold rush in the industry of boomer shooters that serve to scratch that nostalgic itch for folks with similar gaming backgrounds. Obviously, I am the target demographic for these developers, but I often wonder if these single-player focused shooters with old-school mechanics and presentations appeal to anyone other than millennials and Gen X. If someone didn't grow up with Duke 3D, Quake, or Marathon, would a game like Prodeus even show up on their radar? If not, Prodeus would be a proper introduction to the genre, with how faithfully it recreates the experiences of mid-90s PC gaming, down to the smallest details. Combining science fiction, action, and horror into a first-person shooter in a blend of pixelated sprites and labyrinthine level design, this game becomes a melting pot of all the distinct characteristics of the enormously influential titles of the past. Along with quality of life standards associated with modern games, it becomes something that celebrates the best of both worlds, creating a unique experience for all generations of shooter fans. While very little of Prodeus could be called wholly original, it manages to feel fresh and unique with its execution. Let's take a look at how this game was made. At Raven Software, during development of the 2010 shooter Singularity, Jason Majika met Mike Voller. 7 years later, Voller decided to take a risk by going his own way and begin development of a retro-styled FPS. Majika linked back up with Voller, who then joined the project after leaving Starbreeze Studios, developers of such titles as The Chronicles of Riddick and Payday 2. They also included Josh O'Sullivan, aka Dragonfly, an avid creator in the Doom modding community, for his level design expertise. You can check out his works at dfdoom.com. By the end of April 2019, the project funds were boosted by a successful Kickstarter campaign that managed to raise twice its original goal. There are actually 2 levels in the game dedicated to thanking the backers of the project, including a hilarious lineup of 3D scanned faces of contributors. After 5 years in development, published by Humble Bundle, Prodeus was released to all modern consoles, Mac OS, and Windows in September 2022. The plot of this campaign is vague. All of the story summaries I was able to find were literally just one sentence, so I'm going to be drawing my own conclusions a lot on this one. It should be noted that this is only the first official campaign that's been released so far, so later on some of the unanswered questions might be resolved. The player starts in some kind of jail or observation cell on a space station that appears to have been abandoned, and proceeds to a test chamber housing a mysterious rune. Doing what any intelligent person would do in this situation, you press a button to see what it does.
What does this button do?
Different colored beams of light strike the rune and the ship cracks in half. A series of portals open up, revealing vastly different locations, which end up teleporting you to a very symmetrical alien world. Collecting the rune allows access further in, but you are immediately killed upon attempted entry. A nearby nexus point instantly reatomizes our hero into a blue cyborg. You are now Blue Dude in the Slaughter. Some neon blue aliens called Proteans attempt to kill Blue Dude as he advances through to the next portal. He finds himself in a man-made installation on a volcanic planet infested with demons from the Chaos dimension. The workers and guards appear to have been corrupted by some Chaos influence, so they are all cannon fodder now. Apparently, even in the distant future, the working man gets shafted when shit hits the fan. Killing our way through the various facilities, we discover a great battle for the mortal dimension took place here between the forces of Proteus and Chaos. Humanity appears to have been caught in the middle. Eventually, Blue Dude arrives back in the Proteus dimension and finds a space station capable of freezing an entire planet. He teleports it back to the mortal dimension and blows it up. Why? Because Blue Dude is actually Mr. Freeze from the Batman and Robin movie.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
In a research facility, our hero finds the portal to the Chaos Dimension. By ringing a giant bell, he is granted access to a large chamber where a nexus point can be corrupted and open a portal to the Elder Dimension. Slaughtering the chaos creatures in the chamber energizes the Corruptor Beam, where the gateway to this unknown dimension is revealed. Blue Man Group dives in, ending the first campaign. So, like I said, not a lot of information to go off of story-wise. Also, I'm no scientist, but I don't think that's how dimensions work.
She tore a hole in our universe, a gateway to another dimension. A dimension of pure chaos. Pure evil.
Even as the story of Prodeus started to unfold, really all I could think about was this meme. On to presentation. Games like this are a real testament to how much variety the Unity engine is capable of. The graphical style of Prodeus is not purely adherent to low resolution, but rather an almost 50-50 blend of modern and retro aesthetics. For example, the dynamic lighting and particle effects are advanced in contrast to the low poly look of the environments and characters. You'll see things like God rays shining onto the stretched, blocky looking textures of the walls. You'll see transparent 2D fog sprites change color with the lights in the background. If you want a more modern look, the enemies can be switched to 3D models instead of sprites. Their models look great, but because you can't change your hands to 3D, for the most part I kept them all as sprites for visual consistency. Interestingly though, if you change the virtual resolution to 360p and set the screen overlay to mimic an older monitor, the hand models become high res. Applying those two settings almost makes it feel like a whole other game. The gore effects make the surfaces of the levels not rain with blood so much as become a torrential fucking hurricane of viscera. This is a big factor in how powerful the weapons feel. Even firing the starter pistol makes the entire screen shake like you're shooting a 50 caliber sniper rifle, while the monsters explode into chunks as if they were blood-filled piñatas being obliterated at some pro wrestler's birthday party. It's glorious. One question, where's the chainsaw? Or some kind of bladed weapon? Like, the punching is fine for melee attacks, but it doesn't quite spray blood around the room the way the gore seems designed to be. In my mind, it seems like a missed opportunity. Bottom line though, all the visual ingredients combine to make for a stylishly vintage looked Prodeus, with plenty of options for customization. The best word to describe the gameplay would have to be smooth. Turning the always sprint option on allows for that exhilarating feel of strafe dodging projectiles and zooming around the multi-layered maps like a roadrunner with a shotgun. The responsiveness of gunplay is top tier. There's nothing quite like the satisfaction of long distance rocketing a group of enemies and watching the delayed explosion of gore, or the tension and release of getting up close to a stronger enemy and quad-shotting them with the super shotgun. The killing is its own reward, above and beyond 100%ing the levels. Each category of ammo is used for up to 3 different weapons, designed for specific scenarios. The pistol, shredders, and minigun share the same ammo pool, but the shredders are more for close to medium range encounters of small numbers of enemies, whereas the minigun is perfect for tearing up a large number of slower moving enemies. Each level includes a certain amount of ore currency to collect in order to use at the shop to unlock upgrades and new weapons. There are a fair amount of pickups scattered throughout the maps, but particularly on higher difficulty settings. There will be times when you're surrounded trying to cycle through the weapons only to realize you are shit out of luck and need to do some backtracking for ammo. The bandolier upgrade is going to come in handy early on in the campaign. True to its retro roots, the secrets in each level provide you with practical benefits like new weapons, armor, and currency. Thankfully, they aren't quite as convoluted as some older game secrets and are somewhat telegraphed through the environment via buttons and platforms. You won't find yourself needing to excessively wall hump like in Doom. Levels vary quite a bit in length, some lasting 5 minutes, others 20. They all manage to do something interesting, and they are each very distinct from one another. One thing I did find lacking is the enemy variety. Get used to seeing the same 3 or 4 types of bad guys on the screen at any time. Most of the Proteans are just blue versions of the red guys. I also noticed the game entirely lacks any kind of power-ups. Some variations of berserk, infinite ammo, or invisibility are staples of the genre for the sake of spicing up the gameplay, so their absence is puzzling to me. From the beginning, community involvement has been a priority for Mike Voller and Jason Majika. An immense number of community-made maps and campaigns are available to download currently, likely with even more to come in the future if the game expands its official single-player content. I had a lot of fun with this meticulous recreation of the first level of Duke 3D. Online multiplayer is a feature, but I never found any active servers, although I'm sure there are private whitelisted servers out there somewhere. The sound design of Prodeus is almost immaculate. The reason I say almost is because of the weapons. They all just sound kinda dinky. This comes down to a matter of taste, but in this humble reviewer's opinion, an S-tier shotgun sound is the one from Max Payne. Big, loud, and rude. It doesn't just fire shotgun pellets every time you pull the trigger, it makes a statement. This shotgun sounds like the kid who was told one too many times to shut up and be seen instead of heard, so he learned to never pipe up even when he has something meaningful to say. Wait. That's me. Bruh. You understand what I'm saying. It sounds too quiet and impotent. That extends to all the other weapons too. I'll just go ahead and run a short compilation of great sounding guns next to Prodeus's. The gun sounds, however, are the start and end of my complaints about the sound design. You could reasonably navigate combat blindfolded, based solely on audio cues. The mixing is so tight, I was able to hear when an enemy was behind me, how far it was, and what kind of enemy it was, all without looking, which is critical during intense firefights. As usual, Andrew Huschultz's soundtrack is phenomenal. Andrew also wrote the music for Doom Eternal's 2 DLC campaigns, and yet another retro FPS named Dusk. The tracks are dynamic, meaning they respond to the action on screen and kick up the intensity based on the threat levels of the encounters. They have a synth metal feel to them that accentuate a sense of dread within the futuristic and alien worlds Blue Dude has to fight through. Now, if you want to up the old school ante a bit, you can turn on the MIDI music. While it doesn't reinvent the wheel, Prodeus is a very solid entry into the FPS genre. I 100% recommend it to any fan of old school shooters. It's well worth the $25 based on the sheer amount of effort alone. A lot of love went into the game, and it shows. An extremely impressive title considering 3 guys made it. This brings me to my parting words. Originality is not necessarily synonymous with creativity. Every artist's works can be considered amalgamations of all the art that they have consumed and enjoyed. If you're creating something that to you seems unoriginal, as long as passion and sincerity are the main ingredients, your art will make an impact. That's not to say go ahead and plagiarize, just don't worry too much about borrowing elements from other artists that you enjoy. The blues genre of music is a testament to how much variety is possible, even within a rigid musical structure. So just go ahead and create. Originality usually comes with expertise. On YouTube, there are probably thousands of other channels making similar videos to mine. Are video game reviews and retrospectives a dime a dozen on this website? Absolutely. Do I let that stop me? Hell no. I love making these. And that's ultimately what counts.